Hello, 7-footers. Welcome back. I need a new beginning. Like, Jarod and Jenna here, but that's not fun anymore.
I mean, we are back. Welcome.
We are back.
Welcome, 7-footers.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Hey,
Welcome.
how are you? We need a jingle. But anyway, we don't have time for that today because we have a lot of stuff going on. Russell Westbrook is telling people to basically F off. LeBron James can't get a hold of his team. It's out of control.
Things are going crazy right now in the association.
Oh, Jinx, you owe me a cocktail.
Oh, Lord.
AKA, you better buy me one after this.
Good thing Jenna's a cheap date, so I don't got to worry about spending a lot of money on cocktails.
Oh, my God. I was not expecting that level of diss, so I don't even know what to say.
You didn't want the shade like that? No, you were like,
literally, it was like the shade room up in here.
The shade room.
But speaking of the shade room.
Let's do it.
A lot of people are shading the Lakers right now, okay?
I mean, and rightfully so. Let's be honest.
Rightfully so. We are officially on Lakers watch because they're now, 5 games out of the playoffs here, 500?
I mean, is it really Lakers watch, or is it really just like, let's just call this what it is? This is over for them, right?
Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate their chances
what does
of
the
making the playoffs?
1 mean? What does the 10 mean?
10 is closest to the playoffs, and then obviously 1 is
so
they're
10
tanking.
is like guaranteed they're making it.
Yes.
1's like, I don't know what's happening.
They've tanked, yeah.
They're probably at like a 5 or a 4.
Okay, so do you think LBJ can do it like he did in 2016?
I mean, look, they are right now 6.5 games out of the playoff spot. They have less than 20 games remaining. They're going to have to essentially go 17-3, 18-2. That's highly unlikely.
Do you happen to know their schedule coming up? What is it looking like?
I'm going to pull it up right now. I imagine it's not great. So let's see.
The savagery.
Well, look, it's just, and we're going to get into it, but there's some blame to go around here for this predicament that the Lakers are in, right? I mean,
we will get there.
We're going to get there. All right, so
get there.
Let's see who the Lakers have left remaining on their schedule the rest of the season. They have Boston coming up on Saturday. Oh, wait, Boston on Saturday. At Chicago, at Toronto, at Detroit, at New York, at Milwaukee.
It's a mix.
Okay, so Detroit.
Detroit's easy.
No, Detroit's in the playoffs in the East, so maybe not.
Okay.
Chicago, okay, can probably beat them. Milwaukee, probably not.
No. Celtics?
Maybe not, depending on what kind of Celtics team shows up. They're home for Brooklyn, home for Sacramento, home for Washington.
I don't know.
Okay, right? Washington they can beat. Okay. They go at Utah. Not an easy game. Home for Charlotte. Okay. I mean, I've already mentioned a bunch of maybes. I don't know. And I said before this 17-3 or 18-2. I've already mentioned 4 or 5. I'm not sure. So it's not looking good.
All right.
The bottom line.
Well, last night, March 6th, we have a tough loss to the Nuggets, all right? 115-99. Well, it was a good game for LBJ because he passed Michael Jordan on the all-time scoring list at number 4. It was a terrible game for the Lakers. Rondo sits away from the team in the crowd, which we just got a notification he will not be fined, but he will be disciplined by the Los Angeles Lakers. So, obviously, right there, it's giving us the hint. As a veteran, you're going to let us know that the chemistry is bad again after you have a terrible route in the media through this whole Pelicans non-trade. And then it's a mess. It's a mess in LA right now. Is it even salvageable at this point?
Not this season.
There we go.
I mean, look, they lost to Denver last night. Let's just be real. Denver's the number 2 team in the Western Conference. So it's not like, they lost to like some scrub team. Yeah. Denver's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, that is what it is. And Denver's a better team, top to bottom. Yes, the Lakers have LeBron James, who's a unique singular star. But who else on that roster is any good? Yeah, I know Kuzma's been playing well, Ingram, whatever. But, I mean, that roster as it's constructed is not very good right now. The veterans haven't been good. They've been injured. Lonzo's been hurt. I mean, that whole construction of that team is problematic, and there's blame to go around, right?
Who is to blame for the Lakers' troubles?
Well, everyone, right?
I didn't know if we were placing singular blame or not,
nope.
So I just had to ask.
Because it's never only one person's fault in a large environment like that. Magic Johnson, the president of basketball operations, has got to take some blame. The executive vice president, Rob Pelinka, the GM's got to take some blame. LeBron James has got to take some blame.
For sure.
Look, it's just Luke Walton's got to take the blame. There's enough blame to go around. And I think there's this idea or this thought process that Magic had. All right, we're going to get LeBron. It's going to solve all our problems. And honestly, prior to the growing injury he suffered on Christmas against the Warriors, they were looking pretty good as a team, right?
They were.
But that's the thing. When your whole entire hopes are tied and pinned to one person, and that one person goes down or something happens, well, you got problems.
Okay.
And the trade that didn't happen. And so now, where do you go? And like we said last week, what's their backup plan? What if they don't get Anthony Davis this summer in trade? What are they doing?
Exactly, and that's the million-dollar question because we don't know their backup plan.
Do they know their backup plan?
I'm going to have faith and say yes, only because it's LeBron James, it's Magic, it's that entire franchise. They're very smart. They do know what they're doing. I mean, they did get LeBron James to a garbage team already.
Well,
and
how much credit are we going to give Magic and Rob for getting LeBron?
Well,
LeBron already wanted to go there.
Well, here's the thing, though. The only reason, again, why I say yes, there is probably a backup plan in place is because LeBron James went to L.A. knowing that this team was garbage.
Right.
And I'm going to say this as a good assumption that I hope that he knew that it was not happening this year for them whatsoever.
I hope he knew that.
Right? You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's where I'm going to say I think LeBron James agreed to go to L.A., obviously for obvious reasons, production, Hollywood, this and that. But I also think that he did sit down with Magic and Rob and Jeannie and say, hey, I'm coming here. If we do X, Y, Z,
right.
I need this, I need that. And I think there's a plan in place. I do think there's a solid blueprint. It's how they can execute it and if they can execute it.
Well, and here's part of the problem that the Lakers are going to start facing this summer. There's a lot of Lakers backlash among the other teams in the league. And the other teams don't like how the Lakers conduct their business. That's just a fact.
Look at what they did with the Pelicans.
Well, right. I mean, the Pelicans honestly didn't even want to talk to Magic and the Lakers. Now, the Lakers have cap space this summer, so they can do some things. The question is, if they strike out on the big-name free agents, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, et cetera, are they going to max out those middle-tier guys like Chris Middleton, people of that nature? What are they going to do? Again, it's back to this plan. What if they can't pull off that move? Remember, they thought the whole thing was we're going to get Paul George. The Lakers just They didn't even have a meeting with him. They're like, we're not doing that.
Well, Paul George also didn't want to have a meeting.
Well, but why? What happened? Because when he was in Indiana, he kept talking. The rumors in the scuttlebutt was L.A. going home.
Yeah.
What happened? What happened with the Lakers and Paul George?
Who knows what happened with the Lakers and Paul George? But I think Paul George went on a boat and fished with Russ, and then they became best friends, and it was kind of a Step Brothers sequel. I'm just completely joking, but still.
But even before that,
he's very happy.
What is it? What's going on with this franchise?
Lakers, it is.
Something's going on with this squad. And look,
okay,
I like Jeannie's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Love Jeannie. Magic's one of my favorite players of all time, if not my favorite player of all time. But hey, man, you guys gotta figure something out. Figure this thing out. Look, they're not making the playoffs. Maybe you just roll through and you tank the rest of the season and improve your draft odds.
Okay.
Because...
Well, that is a good prediction because LeBron James came out and said, I'm not sitting out games. He's going to play to the max this season.
On both ends? Defensively, too?
Oh, okay. All right. Touche. You got me. Me. I can't even defend that one, to be honest with you.
But honestly, if I'm LeBron, you're not making the play. It just doesn't look likely. It doesn't. And honestly, to also be fair to him, it looks like, especially on the defensive end, that the growing is still not 100%.
They have ways to go.
So, I mean, why don't we just play the kids, and play this string out and listen, because let's be real here. Luke Walton will not be the coach of this team next season. We know that.
No.
Right? There's going to be changes in L.A. in one form or another. So if you have a chance to improve your draft odds, and by the way, in a draft coming up in June that's not that deep. It's very top-heavy, right? Zion, RJ, Cam, Ja Morant.
I feel like we do say this every year, though, that it's not deep.
We do.
Well, at least the past three.
We do, but this one is really not. No, we knew last year this one's not deep at all.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
I mean, it just isn't. So do you tank and Adam Silver doesn't like that, but I mean teams do it.
Yeah.
Do you just say, hey, we gotta figure out and go back to the drawing board and figure out what is our vision? How do we? It's not just about we got LeBron. Are you sure LeBron can get other guys here? Are you sure? That's all. I'm just asking the question. Are you sure?
Here's the thing. If you're going to have faith in LeBron James, the best place to put him to bring in other talent is L.A.
Sure.
So right now
Easier
he's
draw
in
than Cleveland.
Exactly. So he's in the best spot that he could be in to recruit talent, and now it's just a matter of who he's going to schmooze and who we're going to see him out to dinner with online.
So listen, we will see what happens. It'll be a very interesting summer.
Not to mention, there's a lot of, like you said, big free agents up. I mean, and he's friends with a lot of these big names.
These guys are all friends. So again.
And let's be serious, they're all running to the shop to spill the tea.
Something just came across from Hoops Hype. LeBron James to go on minutes restriction. Oh boy.
Whoa.
We're getting breaking news right here as we're recording, folks.
Wow. Very interesting minutes restriction. You think that that's their way of easing him out of playing? And that's what you just said.
Yep.
Let's bring in the young bucks.
And this is reported by
who is this?
Chris Haynes from Yahoo Sports. And if Chris is reporting it, it's gold.
Very reliable.
Chris is tied in. And it says, yes, breaking news, Lakers will put LeBron on a minutes restriction and likely won't let him play back-to-backs. Well,
there we go. We already decided to tank.
What that means is the Lakers know we're not making the playoffs and we're tanking. So it looks like they have some kind of plan.
Here's the thing. Chris Haynes, like we said, minutes restriction, not playing back-to-backs.
Right.
So like you said, we already know we're probably going to tank this one, sit this one out.
Right.
Do you think that now the shift should move into the locker room and let's start working on our chemistry instead of trying to win at least?
Well, the problem is that, again, the Lakers are probably still operating under the assumption that we're going to move some of these guys. So who of these guys are going to be here? So what chemistry are you going to build?
But still, I mean, you can't predict the future. You don't know who you're going to keep, who you're going to give.
You don't. But look, part of it too is, again, it's the LeBron James factor, and we're going to get into it because he's past Michael Jordan, and we'll get to that in a second. But for as great as LeBron is, and again, wherever you want to rank, what have you, in the all-time pantheon of NBA players.
Your vocabulary is still stellar.
He is no worse than top 3. No worse.
No.
Right? So, I mean, when you're talking about the GOATs of this game, it's really, for many people, a 3-person conversation, right?
Who?
It's Jordan, it's Kareem, and it's LeBron, right? In some kind of order. Okay, however you want to do that. Those are the people who are in discussion for the GOAT.
Kareem, Jordan, LeBron.
Yeah, that's
you
really
think they're the top 3 discussion of the GOAT?
That's it.
You don't think Kobe should be in there?
Kobe?
I'm asking for the kids at home.
Listen, Kobe.
Okay.
Listen, Kobe stands.
I know.
Don't at me. But he's just not.
So no Kobe.
Kobe's an all-time great, but he's nowhere near as good as those 3 guys. Nowhere near. Listen, kids.
No Magic?
Get on Basketball Reference. He ain't there. No, not Magic. No, Magic's not there. Magic's top 5, but he ain't top 3. Like,
who's the 4th?
You mean Wilt, maybe? Magic then? Then you can, I mean, look, we can do a pod on that.
I'd just like to know. I'd like to know.
We can do a pod on that later, but for me, it's those 3 guys and there's a gap.
Mm-hmm.
But LeBron is such a unique force in that when you bring him into your franchise, everything has to become about him. And
that's the thing. Can you play with that or can you not?
Well, and can you do it at this stage of his career?
Exactly.
It's different if this was 27 or 28-year-old LeBron James in the prime of his career.
Yes.
This is 34-year-old LeBron James in year 16, year 17. Can we still do this?
Exactly.
I don't think so, but, conversation for a different day.
Very, very interesting. Well, let's wrap up the Lakers here on a good note.
Yeah.
The only probably good note of the Lakers right now. LeBron James passes Michael Jordan on the all-time scoring list into the 4th position, knocking MJ to number 5.
Mm-hmm.
Does this help him, for those who don't think he's the GOAT, in that conversation? Or does this make him the GOAT? I know this is a topic that is so exhaustingly spoken about, but we have to discuss it.
It is.
We have to.
We'll discuss it briefly. Look, for me and my money and for a lot of people, it does not make him the GOAT. Because, look, he's 4th, so that means there's 3 other people ahead of him on the list. So in a vacuum, that does not make him the GOAT because there's still 3 people ahead of him on the all-time scoring list. Now, I'm not going to say that Karl Malone's better than him, even though Malone's above him on the list, right? And I'm not going to say Kobe Bryant's better than him, even though Kobe Bryant's on the list. See, the thing about these sort of compilation awards is what they do more than anything is talk about your longevity in the game, right?
Yeah.
What you need to look at is contextually and with nuance, what did you do with those points, right? a lot of those Karl Malone points were points at the end of his career just hanging on, right?
Yeah.
That vaulted him up the list.
Yeah.
A lot of those Kobe points were, come on, the end of his career with the Achilles, and he scores whatever it was, 80-something points on like 70 shots. Like, come on, dude. Like, that in context, no. Come on. Let's call it what it is, all right? When you break the numbers down and go into per game averages, per 36 numbers and things of that nature, that starts to clarify things a little bit. Does it make LeBron, again, I just said previously, he's in that top 3.
Yeah.
This does not move him up or down in that top 3. It just cements him in that 3.
Well, when you look at the numbers, though, LeBron is ahead of MJ.
Sure. But
in multiple categories.
That's also a function of how the game is played and how he is used on his team, right? The game was played differently in Jordan's era versus now. LeBron, as they do everything, do all point forward, right? So, yeah, the offense revolves around him. He dishes the ball. He rebounds it, right? Like, he sets the table. That's not how the Bulls effectively use Michael Jordan. He's used very differently in a different system. If you want to look at per 36 averages, win shares, and playoff numbers, that's a much more indicative number of who is quote-unquote better. And if you look at those, Jordan kind of stacks ahead in most of those categories.
Number one, I say this every single episode, but you're such a numbers guy. That is what would make you such a good GM.
Well, please, teams, hire me.
For real, I'm not joking. I just had to throw that in there. And number two, as, you know, a host here, I have to present arguments from all sides. And as much as it pains me to present this one, I saw today on Twitter.
Yep.
The chatter going on was, I thought this was interesting. And I feel like the obvious answer to this is LeBron James's lack of defense. But somebody was talking about the argument of MJ and LeBron, and they were saying that MJ automatically surpasses LeBron because he did not have any weaknesses.
Okay.
Is that true?
That's not a fair statement.
That's what was said.
It's not that he didn't have any weaknesses. He had weaknesses. It's just that in the era that he played in, his weaknesses were not magnified because that wasn't the game. Jordan wasn't a great three-point shooter. Now, everyone's going to point to, well, what about that Portland game where he hit 6 threes and gave the shrug? Okay, yeah, he got hot. I understand. Right. Yes, everyone knows that, and it was classic. I remember watching that game. But that wasn't the game back then. You didn't shoot threes like that. That's not how that game was. It's very different than what it is right now. But honestly, look at it like this. Jordan averaged more points per game. He had a higher PER, better offensive rebounder. They were the same in three-point percentage in the playoffs. Jordan had a better steals average, better free throw percentage, less turnovers. Listen, LeBron, poor free throw shooter for who he is, right? Not very good at that. Turns the ball over more. Now, granted, that's also a function of he has the ball more in his hands and dictates the offense. So take that for what it's worth. Jordan with a better win share per 48 than LeBron, right? Also, the thing about these compiling stats that we have to remember, and I want to give you an example. D'Angelo Russell recently became the youngest player to make 500 threes in NBA history. Well,
still sleeping on him?
Do we know why that is? That's because he came into the league when he was 19 years old. So, of course he's the youngest three-point, right? It's about time and the length of time you're playing in the league. I had someone argue with me on Twitter, Steph wasn't the guy. Steph came into the league.
Wait a minute. I saw this argument.
He was 22 years old. Like, what?
I saw this argument.
That's just stupid. So, yes, LeBron's going to compile way more numbers because he started in the league at a younger age than Jordan did. Jordan came into the league after he left his junior year at North Carolina. He was 21 years old coming into the league.
Fair.
LeBron was 18. That's come on. People need to understand context when they're looking at, what about these numbers? What about that numbers? That's why the averages and the per 36 numbers give you a better look than the total compiling stats. Now, that's not to knock LeBron for that is a hell of an accomplishment. Hell of an accomplishment.
Congrats, King.
And again, he's in that discussion.
Of course.
It's those three.
Yes.
And then everybody else can later for y'all, right? We can argue about those three. That's the argument.
Okay. Let's end it there.
Moving on.
we know where you stand. And I respect it. Let's move on here to the Rockets. Okay, they beat the Raptors on Tuesday night.
They did.
Very, very good, interesting, juicy, fun matchup, all right? It's their 6th win in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Now.
Yo, Jenna. Guess who's back? Back again.
Like, you actually find ways to, like, make me angry every 5 seconds. It's actually a talent of Jarod. He doesn't put it on his resume, but I'll note it.
I should.
All right, 6th win in a row. They're the hottest team in the league, tied for the 3rd seed in the West.
Sure are.
Wow. Talk about a turnaround.
Remember when they started the season? They were 11
Whoa.
and 14. Under 500. We were like, they're done.
This is it. They're going to choke again early on, and look at them.
It was the hangover from last year.
Exactly.
And we were like, oh,
yep,
they're peaking at the right time.
Yes. Tied for the 3rd seed in the
are.
West. Who's ahead of them, Jarod?
The Denver Nuggets, that's it. Well, and of course, the Golden State Warriors.
Yes.
But, I mean, look, it's Golden State right now. Denver's a game back. Houston, Oklahoma City, and Portland all tied for the 3rd seed.
Wow. I honestly love the Rockets, and they're so fun to watch. What's your prediction? Are they going to make it to the finals?
So here's the thing about the Rockets, right?
Because the Warriors...
I love this team. The Rockets are so fun.
Oh.
I listen. I'll just send you.
You love the beard.
I'll just text you. I'll just say cooking, and you know what I'm talking about.
Fun fact. He literally will. I'll show you guys. He will text me and he'll say cooking, and I will know the Rockets are on. And James Harden is probably past 30 points cooking. So
so many people. It's so in vogue now to hate on James Harden's style of play, and I mean
now.
I'm like, people are crazy.
You were there from day one, though. OG.
Like, yeah, I think Harden's game is excellent. Yeah, everyone was like, he hunts fouls. I'm like, whatever. His footwork.
And don't foul him.
Don't foul him. His footwork is incredible. That step back 3 is money.
Oh, my gosh.
He hits it at such a high rate. Look, they're playing well right now. Capella's rounding into form. They're getting good contributions from Austin Rivers.
If they can stay healthy.
Chris Paul's rounding back into. Listen, if Chris can stay healthy. PJ Tucker, the real PJ Tucker, whom you talked to at All-Star.
I did talk to him at All-Star, and he had nothing but amazing things to say about James Harden.
The sneaker king?
Listen,
PJ, his sneaker drip is like...
Oh, he was dripping.
His overall drip is just...
Well, I walked in the room and I almost slipped. Literally, walked in the room to interview PJ Tucker, almost slipped on his drip. Sit down. This man is wearing the freshest red suit I have ever seen.
Got all the ice on, too. I'm like, yo, PJ's that dude.
The tats are out. The sneakers are just...
PJ's he's a cool dude.
The man was on fire. He had nothing but great things to say about Harden.
Listen,
team chemistry.
He is a key to that squad.
Thank you for saying that, and that's exactly what I told him. Squad. I said, you are one of the focal points of this squad because do you understand what you've done this season? And he said, what? And I said, when you guys had that horrible, no offense, run in the beginning of the season, like we just talked about, you guys suffered injuries, everything. You stepped up when you needed to, and you really propelled them and carried them while Harden was also, carrying the team on his back.
PJ was the do-it-all Swiss Army knife defensively, hitting corner threes, all that. Here's my only concern and fear, and obviously, PJ is one of those stories, was out of the league, worked his way back from overseas. I mean, just incredible.
Great story.
Veteran guy. I know that they're playing well right now. May want to watch his minutes the last, 15, 16 games of the season.
Yeah.
We don't want him to be too tired getting into the playoffs.
And this is where the coaches get tested.
Listen, D'Antoni, he's not been great about that with minutes in the past, and he needs to be mindful. Look, I understand they want to get the right seeding and all that, but here's the thing, man. This squad can win on the road. They proved it last year in the playoffs. They were a quarter away from the NBA Finals. I know I say it every podcast.
No, please
A quarter away from the NBA Finals.
I have PTSD from it.
So this team can win on the road. They know what it takes to win big-time playoff games. So, I'd be mindful, but I like the way Houston's playing right now. And honestly, and we're going to get to the Warriors in a little bit, this third championship that they're going for, this three-peat, it's going to be the toughest.
Obviously, yeah, it's the toughest run up there.
Not only because of what's going on internally with them, which we'll get to, but also externally with the other teams in the league who aren't afraid of them. The teams aren't afraid of them anymore.
Because now they're so used to it that's all they've been studying now.
Right.
It's like they've been studying for the same test.
Exactly.
3 years in a row, and now they finally feel like they have a handle on it.
Exactly.
They're learning how to slow down KD. They're learning how to stop their constant movement.
Exactly.
So we're really, it's an exciting time right now.
Sure is.
I really think that we're going to see a good playoff run, regardless.
The Western Conference playoffs are going to, the entire playoffs are going to be great, but everyone thinks it's going to be a cakewalk for Golden State. I don't know.
Not so much. All right, let's shift gears here to the Eastern Conference because there's a lot going on in Boston. As we talked about last week, we filled you guys in on the internal troubles that they're having, but I don't know. Maybe they kissed and made up for about one night because they just beat the Warriors.
Tuesday night.
They just beat the Warriors. Do you understand what this victory meant for me? Do you?
Yes. Jenna, noted Kyrie Irving stan.
Exactly. And everybody's hating on my boy right now. I actually just uploaded a nice video of him today, which we'll get to if we have time. But, okay. Is all well in Boston again? We just come off this fresh win from the Warriors the other night. And
Tuesday night,
Kyrie comes out and says that, we had fun. We actually had fun. Like, we enjoyed each other, which was so refreshing and nice to hear, as you know. But it said a lot about the Warriors, too, in the postgame, which we will get to.
We'll get to.
But talk to me about this Boston squad. What's going on? They were smiling.
Well, look.
I saw smiles.
Winning is a wonderful perfume.
I just love the way you said that.
It really covers up a lot of stink. It does, right? That's the point of perfume, right?
Yes.
It covers up odors we'd rather not smell.
For sure.
Now, that's not to say that the Celtics are a,
all is well, all is okay.
Heavy odor, terrible squad. But look, all is not well, right?
No, not at all.
Now, that long 3,000-mile flight from Boston to San Francisco, or to Oakland, excuse me, listen, they quote unquote kissed and made up, or they had some conversations, and
hey, it's a start.
It's a start. The question we have is, can they sustain it, right? Is this going to continue going forward, right? The Celtics are such an enigma of a team. For as much talent as they have too many lulls and highs and lows, right?
Which were completely unexpected.
Yes, there's not enough consistency from them.
No.
Gordon Hayward was excellent in that game on Tuesday.
Dropped 30 off the bench.
I mean, look, he looked like KD. I was like, Jesus, who's this guy? Right? I mean, but again, can the Celtics do that consistently?
Exactly. That's the $1 million question.
And, that win was nice. It was a big one for them. Can they, when things go a little haywire, and they won 2 in a row because they beat Sacramento the following night on a back-to-back. Kyrie didn't play. So if they run off a nice little run here to end the season, that'll give us a lot of inclination into, okay, what this team is going to be like heading into the playoffs. Because ultimately for them, the postseason is what matters, right?
Yes.
That's where they're going to be judged. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, 2 Game 7, right? Almost went to the NBA Finals.
Hey.
If they don't do that again, it's a failure of a season for them.
I completely agree with you right there.
They'll be judged come postseason. But again, the regular season to this point has been a bit of an underachievement for them because people thought a cakewalk, 60-plus wins, number 1 seed, and they're not that.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you on that one. So let's move on to the topic of this pod.
Topic du jour.
I guess we'll save our entire What's Up segment for the Warriors. What is up with the Warriors?
Everything.
The Bay seems to be a little bit chaotic right now. Everything is up with them. They've been losing games. I understand some people will throw in the excuse, they're getting bored with the regular season, aka Jarod. But I'm sick of that. Don't get bored in the regular season and be losing these games and stuff like that because we see what's going on. We see right through you, KD. KD, I got a bone to pick with your boy, okay?
I love it.
Your boy's attitude and the chip on his shoulder could make up for the entire chip supply in the world. Literally, he's got everything up on there. Barbecue, sour cream, everything. His attitude is so poor. As Charles Barkley said about my guy, Kyrie Irving, he's the most miserable guy I've ever seen. KD right now is the most miserable guy I've ever seen. What was with that post-game interview after the Celtics lost? Don't get me wrong. I get it that you're mad and frustrated after a loss, but he basically said he didn't agree with Steve Kerr that...
Well, we're gonna get to that. Miles, why don't you run that tape for us?
Sorry, I got carried away.
Looked like in the first half especially, their ball movement kind of got to you guys. I think they had 23 assists at the half. They were shooting like 70% at one point late in the second quarter. In your mind, were you guys seeing stuff that you hadn't seen before? Was it they were doing different things, or were you guys just not on your game?
They played great. They played great. They ran their sets with force. They knocked down shots. They made an extra pass. I mean, they were just great on offense tonight.
Obviously, another slow start, and Kerr's mentioning didn't have the guess, intensity, or even mentioned Steve Kerr, or even the anger. Did you sense that? And does this team need a little more anger sometimes?
I thought we move off of joy. Now anger.
That's what your coach said.
Oh, okay. I disagree with that one. I mean, we just got to. I think all around, top to bottom, coaches, players, we just got to be better.
Where do you start from that?
From what?
You're saying from coaches top down, all need to be better. Where do you guys go from there?
Come back tomorrow, watch film, and practice, and see where we go from there. We usually bounce back pretty well, so we'll see what happens.
And when you came here, you joked that you came for Ron Adams.
And you still talking about me coming here?
No, I'm just talking about Ron. Something you said when you came here, and so I'm wondering now, like you know how Ron is about defense. You know him fairly well. How do you think he's dealing with this?
It's about how we all dealing with it. The whole team, the whole organization, we're family, right? That's how we operate. I don't think anybody's in that locker room. And that locker room is anything but upset with the game we played. But it's not just Ron Adams.
Woo! My boy's salty.
Saltier than the ocean, Atlantic and Pacific combined. All right, what was up with that? First of all, I thought that was a low-key jab at Kerr.
Steve Kerr, it was. Look,
I really do.
Let's take a step back here.
Oh, of course we will for your
No. Listen, see, unlike you, who cannot be objective about Kyrie, I can be objective about Kevin Durant.
I called Kyrie out last week in the pod. Okay, he wasn't happy with it, but we got along.
So here's the thing: Kevin is clearly cruising for a fight and wants to start stuff with media and what have you. There is something going on with this man that he doesn't want to talk about, clearly. And so he is taking his frustrations out on the media and being surly and difficult to deal with for whatever reason. If you watch these games, his body language suggests detachment. And as Chris Haynes reported, people within the Warriors organization fear that behavior suggests he's leaving, right?
Yeah.
So, look, here is where KD could have put all of this to rest months ago and not have to deal with any of this nonsense. You keep signing these one-and-one deals, right? And listen, that is your right to have your own sort of empowerment so you can make your move and do whatever you want to do and maximize your money. No one's knocking you for that. Here is what you do, however.
Okay.
You go into the season and beginning of media day one, you come out and you say, listen, before we get into questions, I know everyone's going to want to know, KD, if you're thinking about free agency, what's happening, etc. What does that have to do with this season? All free agency questions are going to come. If you strictly say, my focus and my goal is on a three-peat with the Golden State Warriors this season, I will address all free agency questions at the end of the season. And I will not answer any questions from here on out about that. Period. Now, when people come in, visiting reporters and whoever, ask you questions, you simply say, I addressed at the beginning of the season. Next question. And you literally move on. Because next question is nothing. Jenna, we're in the content business. If we go to an interview and we ask 10 questions and the interview subject says next question 10 times, we have nothing to write or produce because there's nothing there.
No.
I can do nothing with next question. But you know what I can do stuff with? When you're saying, oh, I thought we played with joy, or when you start doing these things like that,
Well, that was sarcasm.
Or you go on a self-imposed media hiatus for 9 days after the Knicks make all these. People are going to start putting tea leaves together and start inferring and making and saying, here's what I'm thinking about X. This must mean this. This must mean that. You are allowing people to speculate because you are not cutting it off from the beginning.
Exactly. Bouncing off of what you're saying, what KD said in that post-interview and how he carried himself and going to body language and all of that, reading into it very closely.
Right.
He's angry.
Sure.
About something.
Something
that he's not happy with what Steve Kerr is doing.
Well,
and
I think, look, that was obviously, so for those that don't know, one of Steve Kerr's isms is he loves to say, we play with a joy. Right?
Yeah.
Which is why Kevin said, "Oh, I thought we played with joy here." Right?
Jab number one pulls out that,
right?
And just the sarcasm, the all-around sarcasm,
right.
and saying we're a family, we're this, we're that.
Right.
Well, you're letting us know right now that
right.
it's the complete opposite. So
right.
I understand that you're upset with the media,
right.
but as somebody that's in the media,
right.
it is my job to report what you write,
right.
or
what you say.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Write what you say.
Right.
So automatically, you're telling us what's wrong. You're telling us without telling us.
You're
why
giving
don't you
us.
just not do press, or
no,
just say, you know what, guys, I'm not about it tonight.
Not doing press, but again, that 9-day thing that he went on, that's not good.
The
right?
9-day thing was terrible. Oh, and before I forget too, what he said, we're still talking about me coming here.
Right. Again,
clearly somebody is still salty about something.
Well, here's the thing, and that was Monty Poole from NBC Bay Area who asked that question. But you heard Monty was laughing because he was trying to make a joke like, oh, I know Ron Hammond's the reason you come here, like joking.
Yeah.
And Katie clearly didn't want to joke about it.
Not having it.
Now to put the other hat on, I can't speculate as to what is wrong with KD or what the problem is. Everyone's going to assume that the reason why he's being like this is because he knows he's leaving and he doesn't want to deal with the fallout of the repercussion.
That could be it.
That could be it. We don't know. Look. If you're asking me to guess what the likelihood of him staying in Golden State is, it's not high. I'd say the chances of him leaving are probably 80% that he's out of there, right?
Well,
75% to 80% that he's leaving.
As we said before, on March 7th, a report came in, late day, Chris Haynes, quote unquote, some within the Warriors organization concerned KD's behavior this season indicates departure.
Right.
Honestly, as a fan, I'm going to take my journalist hat off for a second.
Right.
As a fan, all signs point to that.
Right. I mean,
you don't want to deal with the fallout. Why not say what you want right now?
That's what it looks like. But again,
they need you.
Again, go back to what I just said.
I know.
You could have solved all this.
Nobody thinks in the moment, though. Nobody.
Beginning of the season, you literally say, "I am not answering free agent questions," and when they ask, you say, "Next question." Guess what? If you keep saying "next question" every time, there's nothing you can write about it because you're giving us nothing. But when you do little things like not talking to the media for 9 days. You get into a verbal spat with Ethan Strauss during from The Athletic in a post-game media session. When you are seen cozying up to Kyrie and all the signs are suggesting that you two are going to team up, you're either trolling us because you know this is happening or you're really bad at PR, right? It's one of the two. You're either trolling or you're bad at PR.
Trolling, bad at PR, right? Or you like the attention. And you like the narratives.
Right? And so it's like...
So tell us which one it is.
Just figure out what it is. And that's the frustrating part about him, right? Because he's such a gifted player.
It's very hard to read him, though.
And I said, look, he's the best player in the world. And it's this thing where, yes, he is. We discussed this last week.
We may have discussed it, but not everybody in this room, including producer Miles, agrees.
Listen, it don't matter if Miles agrees or not.
It does. I care about your opinion. I do. Everybody's opinion matters here.
But, so it's just a very difficult thing to understand what is going on in this guy's mind, right? What is making, and that's what's the enigma about him. The people are just like, Kevin, what's the deal? And honestly, to take a full step back, I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist or any of these things. However, I've been watching this young man since he was in high school, through college, all the way through now.
Not even as a journalist, but as a fan.
As a fan previous, and now as a journalist. Listen, I've maybe uttered 5 questions to him over the course of his entire playing career in scrums. So I don't know him. But from everything I've read and seen and what I see of him, here's what I think.
Okay.
He is a man that is clearly conflicted with something within himself overall, and he's searching for something. What that thing is, I have no idea, but he's searching for it. And his entire career, basketball is where he found the validation, but it's no longer happening for him. He's not getting that validation anymore in basketball. I don't know why. He's just not. And he's trying to find something. What that thing is, I do not know. Yeah. But he's looking for something. Well. And this idea of, if you ever heard him, where he's his happiest is when he talks about, oh man, I'm always getting love. Fans are showing love. That's his thing. There's something with him and love. I don't know what and who's not giving him enough or what it is. Well, I do know.
Maybe he's looking for love.
It's part of it is, and this is a Golden State thing, and this is a fact, and he can deny it all he wants.
Okay.
there's part of him that is annoyed that there is still a question as to whether or not he is the best player on his own team. Like, to him, he realizes Steph's greatness, but he's like, I'm a better basketball player than Stephen Curry. And that is objectively true. Like, he is.
Is he a better shooter than Stephen Curry?
He's not a better shooter than Stephen Curry.
I just wanted to establish.
But he is a better basketball player than
all
Stephen
around,
Curry.
well-rounded? Yes, absolutely. I completely agree.
And it isn't like the shooting is like Steph's like an A+ and Steph's a D.
No.
Right? I mean,
it's not a big gap.
It's not a big gap in the shooting,
no.
right? But the problem is KD has to realize that Steph is the Golden State Warriors fans' guy.
That is.
He was drafted by them.
And you knew when you came here, you weren't going to be that face.
Right. And he even said it because after they won the first title, he thought, oh, man, I won that first championship finals MVP, that all would be good. I would ascend to the best player. And I mean, no.
Not to mention, and I know this is just reaching, but like you said, Steph is the Warriors.
He's their guy.
Not to mention, it also doesn't hurt that Steph is the all-around guy that everybody loves to love. His family, his kids, everything, everyone, everything about that family. You can even bring LeBron to the Warriors, and you're still gonna have Steph as your number one Warriors guy.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you bring.
And
to
it's
the Warriors.
because of Steph, the person, who he is inside and out of that jersey.
Exactly. And it's that kind of adulation and love that Steph has that I think that's what KD's searching for. But here's the thing. You were never going to find that in Golden State. Never.
No.
That was never going to be a thing. No matter what you do there. Yes, and don't get me wrong. The Golden State Warriors fans love KD. But it's different. He wasn't one of the original guys.
Exactly.
And that's just what it is.
Here's my prediction before we move on because we don't have a lot of time. But really quick. I think that KD came to the Warriors on a genuine note. He wanted to win a championship. He wanted a ring. Okay, there's no problem with that. You come, you do that.
2 finals MVPs.
After he gets 2 chips, 2 finals MVPs, things start to happen like we always used to preach. People on the same team for a long time, it gets real old real fast.
It's annoying. Things start braiding.
Especially when you're trying yourself to develop as a player when there's so many spotlights on other people in different franchises. I'm just saying, just throwing that out there. I think that somewhere along the line, even recently after the scuffle with Draymond, something happened and KD's out. Look, that's my thing. I don't know what happened, but something shifted. He went there on a genuine note.
Right.
But Ish got messed up.
And I think, again, it goes back to what I was saying. He's searching for something in his life overall. And basketball is it is his entire life.
Yeah.
And that is where he gets all his validation. And the validation isn't coming the way he wants it anymore. And he's wrestling with that. You know? And look, everyone should understand what that's like. Every human being goes through inner conflict and is searching for something in their life. And the way in which, and the guys who seem to handle it and deal with it better are the guys who have other things in their lives outside of basketball.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
With Steph, the big thing is, he's got his wife. He's got his 3 kids. 3 or 4 now? 3, right?
3.
So there's all these other things. He's a man of faith. There's all these other things in his life. Yes, basketball, clearly very important, but he has an outlet to go to get away from it all.
Yeah.
What's KD's outlet? He don't got no.
He isn't really.
What?
Yeah.
I as far as we know, I don't think he's in any long-term relationship.
I don't think so.
He definitely doesn't have kids or anything. So what's his? And again, I'm not saying that a wife and kids are what you should do, but what is that outlet outside of work that you do? We all need it.
Exactly.
He doesn't seem to have it. So, look, I say all that to say he's still an excellent basketball player.
He's incredible.
The Warriors, when they are clicking on all cylinders, no one's beating them.
He's a franchise-changing talent. I think they'll clean this up and get their stuff together. But for now,
this will be the hardest championship for them.
I'm just saying. Oh, it's going to be the hardest championship. I mean, we already know that. All signs are pointing to it. All I have to say, as a fan, as a media person, and as a non-media person, and even if I'm not a fan, his attitude is poor.
Yes, and
that's that.
I've admitted that it's a poor attitude, and he needs to do better. If you have some kind of issue that you don't want to talk about, like, that's fine. You can be like, hey, something's going on. I don't want to talk about it, whatever. But the way in which you come in and talk to the media, if you don't address whatever the issue is in some way, you're just all you're doing is adding fuel to the fire.
Hey, and the fire's big right now.
Yeah,
so he started it, and you're
literally,
he needs to put it out.
And you're literally squirting gasoline on it every time you get in there.
Yeah.
And this could all be avoided.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of other important topics, this isn't exactly what's up with the league, but we're going to throw a little congratulations to Adam Silver for touching upon a topic that we so badly need to speak about in all leagues.
Yeah.
And I am proud to say that the NBA has been the catalyst of really bringing the discussion of mental health into the sports space.
Agreed.
So I couldn't be happier with everything that they're doing with that. Now, Adam Silver comes out recently and actually gets really candid about anxiety and players dealing with this.
Absolutely.
So much to the point where other players, including Kevin Love, who's opened up about mental
DeMar
health.
DeRozan, they've all said stuff about it.
Has said something, praised him for it. Here's just a little quote that Adam said that really hit home with a lot of people. We are living in a time of anxiety. I think it's a direct result of social media. A lot of players are unhappy. I'm an anxious person myself. That's why the players like talking to me. Right there, in my opinion, proves why he's Adam's
the best commissioner in all sports.
All sports.
And that's not just because we're huge NBA fans. I mean, Adam is literally the best commissioner in all sports.
Exactly. He admits himself that he has anxiety. Right there makes him relatable to so many audiences, especially millennials and people of all ages.
So here's something interesting, Jenna, because most of the NBA players, or a good percentage of them, are what we consider millennials, right? You are much closer in age to them than I am to many of them.
Okay.
So you grew up in the social media era, right?
I did.
I mean, that your entire middle school, high school life was on social media, or high school,
mostly high school, for
college,
the most part.
right?
Yeah,
okay.
High school, college.
That wasn't me, clearly, right? I'm much older than that. Social media did not start till post college for me, so I view it very differently.
Which you're very lucky.
Can you talk a little bit about sort of what that sort of fishbowl is like when you're in those ages, that 13 to 18 age, and social media is this thing that you're constantly on all the time?
Yeah. I mean, mine came at high school, which in my opinion, this is totally from my own experience, was the hardest part of my upbringing and schooling as a person getting used to different things in social settings. And it really is toxic. Don't get me wrong. I love social media. I am on it all the time as a millennial, everything like that, for work, everything. I love it. But people abuse it, and that's no surprise there. And that's where a lot of this mental health discussion comes from. You see things on there. I'm not going to lie. Full disclosure, being transparent right now. I do a lot of on-camera stuff.
You do?
And one of the first videos I've ever done, I read the entire comment section.
Probably a bad
Big
idea.
no-no for anybody out there.
People talking greasy?
Just awful things about my appearance to anything that they could pick apart. It is toxic in that way, and you have to be careful with how you use it, and you also have to, it's a lesson in mental health too. You need to not look at negative things and take yourself out of that negative space. It's honestly about teaching yourself to live in a positive world and a positive light. But did I answer everything?
No, yeah.
You know?
I mean, social media makes that hard, though, right?
It does.
Because,
it makes it so hard for these players too.
Yeah, because on the one hand, it's where everything inhabits, right? You want to be like, oh, how many people like this? Oh, what did so and so say? And you're
I'm
like,
not gonna
oh, that's
lie.
great.
Yeah.
Like,
I
mean,
look for likes.
You feel great when people like your comments and are like, Jenna, that makes you feel. It's like an endorphin rush, right?
It is, and everybody loves a good compliment. Everybody loves to be popular and liked and this and that. But there's an ugly side to it, and what Adam's getting at here is it's a direct result of social media. Think about it, and a lot of people bring this discussion back to the GOAT discussion. A lot of people say, hey, it's different for LeBron now because everything he does is on social media. Everything you do. You could be on the sidelines, not even playing, I don't know, saying something to your teammate, and all of a sudden there's a transcript running online of what you said because somebody's reading your lips from a video. It is out of control.
The proliferation of phones with cameras. I mean, look, in Michael Jordan's day and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's day, those things didn't exist.
Exactly. And even when Dennis Smith Jr. broke his tooth, he actually, in the post-game interview, this is how much social media impacts these guys and people in general. He broke his tooth. Oh my gosh, like a tooth has bones. He knocked his tooth out. and immediately, and you could see the video online, picked it up and just closed his mouth. And in the post-game interview, he said, I picked that tooth up and closed my mouth. You don't know what ladies are watching. This video is going to be on social media in a minute. And what happened?
Yeah,
it was on social media in a minute.
It's crazy.
Kudos to these guys for speaking out about this and admitting that, because we all see them as superheroes, but they are human beings.
You know what's interesting? So Charles Barkley had some comments recently where he said, he's talking about Kyrie, but really about Kyrie, KD, and these guys who seem unhappy. And he's like,
I didn't like that reaction.
What are these guys to complain about? They make $30, $40 million a year, et cetera. And look, anyone who knows me, who knows this pod, knows where I'm going. It doesn't matter how much money they make.
You could have all the money in the world, but if your mental state is poor, you are poor.
I understand that people feel a certain kind of way because, look, the majority of people are broke. And they're like, why do I have those problems? Yes, in a vacuum, I'm sure you'd prefer to have $40 million a year. Everyone would. Having money does not mean that my life is great. It doesn't mean I don't have anxiety. It doesn't mean I don't wake up with terrible thoughts. It doesn't mean any of those things. Yes, I can buy fancy things. I can have girls around. Whoop-de-doo.
And that's great. And it helps certain aspects of your life. Being able to pay your bills, it helps your mental state in that aspect.
It looks a certain kind of way. But it does not mean I don't have these other mental issues to deal with. And in many cases, it means I have an additional set of mental issues to deal with. Because how do I know who actually likes me? For me?
Exactly.
You like me because I'm rich
money.
And I can get you into places and do whatever.
Exactly. And a lot of these guys are also dealing with real issues, too, which people don't look at. Like John Wall, his mother has cancer.
Listen, man.
He's dealing with that. Karl Anthony Towns was in a car accident on his way to a game the other day. They're normal.
They are human beings, and you know me. I talk about this all the time. It's not about the money. They are people.
I agree.
Humans.
I wasn't happy with how Charles Barkley responded to that. And, again, praise to Adam Silver, who said the same thing, but the opposite. He said everybody thinks they have all this money, this and that, but...
Listen.
If you don't have anything without your health.
Come on, people. There are 450, 60 some odd players in the NBA. Do you know how good you have to be at basketball to make it into that league? Yes. If you were the top 460 in your field that was a multi-billion-dollar industry, you might make that money too, depending on what it was.
Exactly.
But guess what? Teachers, cops, whatever, those industries don't pay that kind of money. I'm sorry. That's just the reality of life. And it is what it is.
Speaking of players who've spoken out about it, there are players who've spoken out and praised Adam who don't suffer from anxiety, depression, and there are players who do suffer from anxiety, depression who spoke out and praised him. Kevin Love, DeMar DeRozan. And Kevin Love, I thought this was important and a very good quote. He said, this is important. Success is not immune to depression and anxiety.
I mean.
That's it.
Nothing else needs to be said right there.
It's a fact.
Nothing else needs to be said.
Exactly.
The presence of money does not mean I don't have other problems in my life. Yes, I recognize that money would solve many people's day-to-day problems in terms of paying their bills and living. 100% get that. There's a whole other side to it as well. So just introduce some compassion when you think about these people who literally entertain you, right?
Exactly.
Introduce some compassion. That's all.
Yes. And I love that discussion. I think we need to do that more.
Well, this isn't an NBA podcast, but I kind of lit the NFL on fire.
That is A-okay with me.
In an op-ed I wrote about for BET about some of the crazy questions that come out of the combine.
I have to read it.
Yeah, it's look, again, it's just introducing basic humanity into our day-to-day lives. Treat people with respect regardless of their walk of life.
Amen.
If we do a little bit of that, go a long way. That's all. That's my PSA for today. For sure.
And that is that. What a good note to end that on. Bashing the NFL. I guess, All right.
7-footers, man. Make sure you guys follow us on Instagram, Twitter, at 7-footerspod, at 7-footers podcast, at Jenna Lemoncelli, at JS Hector. You can find all of Jenna's great stuff on HollywoodLife.com. Guys, she does some really good stuff that you need to be paying attention to.
Thank you.
Talking to very, very cool celebrities. Of course, you know where to find me, BET.com, SNY. MSG Networks, Black Sports Online, BET.com.
All of them. Jarod is everywhere. And he's covering all the mainstream sports, and I'm marrying entertainment and sports.
Yes.
So it's so fun that
wonderful.
we come together and do this.
Tribeca Film Festival coming up. Are you doing that? I'm doing that. It's
might
fun.
hit a couple things.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Looking forward to that.
I know this is your beat, though.
I love it. I love
That's
Tribeca
right.
Film. It's cool.
That's right. Well, we will wait for that, and you guys will wait for our next episode next week.
Guys,
and stay tuned for some fun guests coming up.
We're in the home stretch. Playoffs starting soon.
Ooh, here we go.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.